Hello there guys, good morning and welcome to another tutorial. Today we will be going through surface development, and here's a demonstration from a textbook. What we'll be doing is we'll be actually tackling this problem here. This surface development has two intersecting pipes. It's a vertical pipe, which I'm highlighting here, and then this diagonal pipe, all intersecting at this point right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this up in AutoCAD, and then we are going to tackle this problem. At the end of this problem, we would have four drawings on the screen. We will have the side elevation, or we can call this the front elevation. We will have the development of the vertical vertical cone to the right side. Then we will have the development of the diagonal cone, not diagonal cone, diagonal cylinder, sorry, and this would come right here, which is also be on a diagonal axis. Then finally we will have the plan, which would be positioned below the front elevation. So let's get straight into AutoCAD now. Now what I have done, so that we won't waste much time, is I've actually drawn this up and I've placed the measurements here. Alright, you can actually start drawing this and creating it as we go along. So the height is 100 millimeters, the width is 70 millimeters, and the diagonal cylinder is going to come in at some distance 30 millimeters above. So you need to offset 30 millimeters from the base of your cylinder to this point, and you can then create a 30-degree angle at this point right here. So once you've created a 30-degree angle, and I'm on the 30-degree line now, you can then offset 30 millimeters to the left and 30 millimeters to the right to get the shape. So I'm thinking that I can probably just do it over for those at home that might be having some difficulties trying to understand what I'm explaining here. So I'm just going to move this out of the box, and I'm just going to quickly just do it over for educational purposes. So first thing is I have my center line. I'm just going to extend my center line, and from my center line I'm going to offset 35 to the left and 35 millimeters to the right. When you total up 35 plus 35, you're going to get 70. So that's my 35, 35, and I'm going to place them onto my outline layer. I'm going to create a base at some random point down here. That's my base, and so I'm going to offset 100 millimeters up from my base, which will give me the height. And what I'm going to do, transfer these now to my outline layer, and I'm just going to trim up everything. So I just trim the unwanted bits. So there we have our first cylinder, which is 100 millimeters vertical and 70 millimeters horizontal. That's it there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to offset 30 millimeters up from the base to this point, and then this gives us an opportunity to pitch our angle at 30 degrees. So I just grab a line, pull it to the right, and then I'm going to hit less than sign and then punch in my 30-degree angle, and then I just flick this line slightly above the offset line of 30, and that's my 30-degree angle. Now I'm going to offset 30 millimeters each side, and there we have it, 30 millimeters each side. And they're saying that our distance from here to where our slanted cylinder ends is 64.9. I'm just going to put that in now. So I'm just trimming everything here, and yeah, I kind of like create all of my center lines on the same layer, right? Now I'm going to just match everything to the same outline layer. Now how do we know that this is 64.9? Well, what I did is I projected a line, straight line from the top of the cylinder, the top of the vertical cylinder across to where these points meet, and then I just came from there with a perpendicular line all the way down to here, and now I'm going to offset going backward my 64 and see if, yeah, they're about, they meet. So that is how we can do it. When we project this line here, we just offset the distance we want, and the distance that I want is 64. So for my perpendicular line, I offset. So really and truly, I'm off by a couple. So let's just change this for educational purposes. So I'm just going to move everything now back to this point here. Right, so if I move that, it's reflected it here, then I'm just going to fill it. Okay, so that's how we know that we are on target. So here, this is the shape. So now that we have the shape here, what the first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to just move this original shape away from the drawing so that it wouldn't actually interrupt my demonstration. Okay, so now that we have this original shape, the first thing that we're going to do, just let's consult here. I'm going to be coming down at the bottom and I'm going to be creating my plan. What I like to do is offset 10 millimeters from each joint. I just offset 20, make it 20 millimeters between joints, and I just create what I call my frame lines so that I know this joint is finished, nothing is going to be around here. So now we are proceeding to the next joint, and the next joint we are going to be starting is the plan. I'm going to go on to my construction layer. I'll just pull down my layer manager, just activating my construction layer, and now I'm going to just projecting these lines downward in a vertical direction, just nice and long, fairly random lines, doesn't matter. I'm also going to be projecting my center line down, and now I'm going to start my circle. So what I'm going to do is we need a horizontal line, just randomly put the horizontal line there. Go on to the circle layer, activate your circle. Circle layer can be not circle layer, circle command. You can just go over the circle and you will get a circle, or you can hit C for circle. Open up my circle, and the extent of my circle is radius 35. Or I can just bring it to these boundary lines, it doesn't matter. I can type in 35 radius, or just bring it to one of these boundary lines which I have carefully set up. Now when we have done that, we have to also recognize the circle out here. What is the distance? Sorry, the distance of this circle, let's just refer to this drawing here, is 60. That's 60 diameter. So that means that if we have here as our center line, which I'm going to put, we can actually offset 30 millimeters from the center line above and below, which will give us our 60 diameter. Now I'm just attaching these together, and yeah, so our next circle is going to come somewhere between here, and it's not going to look like a circle, it's going to look like an ellipse because it's slanted. When we actually look down onto this drawing, you're going to see a circle that is going to be in a strange perspective, which is going to give us an elliptical formation. So that's one thing we need to know. And how are we then going to set up these now and start drawing what we have here? Well, the first thing is we can divide this circle into 6 pieces. This is a circle right here in its actual formation, but because we are looking at it we don't see any curves. We're only going to see straight lines because we are looking at it dead on in front elevation. So what we need to do is just create a semicircle here. And when we create the semicircle, I'm just going to trim off the unwanted bits, which is that side, and I'm going to then divide my semicircle into 6 pieces. So I go for my command div, which is divide, touch the circle, and then type 6, hit enter. So those are my 6 pieces, or my 6 points that my circle has been divided for me. And then I go over to each point and bring it to the center of the circle where everything started. Yeah. So after I've done that, now what I need to do is I need to project lines through my divisions, all which are going to be parallel. These lines are going to be parallel to this edge, and then I'm going to project them all to the center line. So how can I do that easily? I'm just going to copy this edge so that I make sure that everything is parallel without me guessing, and then I'm just going to grab it at this point here, and then I'm going to place it at each division. Well, one is already on the center line, so I'm not going to place one there. Place one here, place one here. Now I'm going to extend these lines 1, 2, 3, and 4 to this center line. The reason why I'm doing that is I want to make sure all these lines pass through this line here, just diagonal line. So let me just do that, and that would be explained. Another reason for doing that would be explained later on as we proceed in this drawing. Alright. Cool. So these are the points that we're interested in here. Let me just highlight these points. So what I'm going to do is just copy some of these points where I want them. Here, there, and there. So those are my points there, and I'm actually going to change my point style to, and we can all see. And then these ones that I am going to be using immediately, I'm going to be placing these onto my place them on my layer 0. And just work with them there and get on with life, right? So far what we have done, just to recap, we have divided our slanted cylinder. We have divided it into 6 pieces by placing a semicircle on our center line at the top of the cylinder where the center line of the cylinder intersects the end of the cylinder. We have casted a semicircle, which is here, and then we've divided the semicircle into 6 pieces. So the semicircle divided into 6 pieces, and then each piece, each division on the semicircle comes all the way back to the center of the semicircle. We have done that, brought each division to the center like what we have here, just going over that, and then we created parallel lines from this edge at each division. So these are the parallel lines that were created, and then we are now identifying the points that the parallel lines intersect with this angular line. So, and they all intersect and create a nice perpendicular line. So we have actually highlighted these points where these perpendicular edges have been created. So I'm now going to just move my construction line over here, here, one down the center, one down here. All this is setting up so that I can actually find my ellipse construction, or the circle as it would look down here, how the circle would actually look in plan. And like I said, it's going to look very elliptical. So I've just set that up there so far. Now what I'm going to do now is I need to divide this circle into 12 pieces. So go div, divide, and I go select the object, and then go 12. And right, I need to get off of my def points whenever I'm dividing anything, because it just wouldn't appear. That is something that I need to remember. Right, see, it appears now when I'm on my construction there. So let's always stick to the construction there. So these are the parts of the circle being divided. We have used the division of 12, and this is similar to a clock, so it's always easy to remember that 12 is our magical number, and we're going to always work with 12 when we're doing these sort of problems. So now I've finally done that, and what do I need to do now? Now, we don't need to project any lines from this point here, because our semicircle or our diagonal circle that we're dealing with doesn't go past these boundaries here, and this is because the circle is diameter 60, and this is distance from here to here is 60 millimeters. So we don't have to worry about that. Now what we need to do now is we need to create our parallel lines from here. So we have there, we'll create one from there, and we will bring it here, and then we will bring that other one there, right? And that's it. That's it. So now we need to create our ellipse using this grid. And one of the things I know I can do, let me put in my point. You know that's a point at that edge. That's going to be a point at that edge. That's going to be a point here at the top. That's going to be a point there. And then the rest is just easily, you just fill in these in easy, right? So it is. That's how we're going to get our ellipse construction in. So there are some lines that I've projected that I haven't actually touched. I haven't touched this point. I haven't touched this point. Let me just check back and see where these two lines would interact. Looking at the lots of things, I don't think I need them. So I'm just going to create my spleen by using the command spl spleen, and just create my ellipse construction. When you're finished, you just hit enter. That closes the spleen. So that's it there of how that circle is going to look. Let me look down on plan view. Yeah, that's it. So I'm going to transfer my circle here to my outline layer, and I'm going to transfer these construction lines also to my outline layer. Yeah, I'm just going to bring this back to this point because it doesn't need to go past this point. And similarly, this one, this doesn't need to go past this point right here. So just let's take off our construction layer and see how this thing looks. And that there, as we are looking at it, this is what the view will look like when we look down on our drawing. Just don't like how this looks a bit sharp here rather than round, but I will deal with that later on. Let's just move on now. So now we have created our plan, we have created our elevation, and now we need to create our development. So just let's look back at the drawing here, and we can see that here is our plan that has been created, and here is the elevation that's been created. Now we need to create the development 1 and then development 2. Okay, so let's get going. Now in order for us to create our development, we need to know where our seam or where our point of intersection occurs. Point of intersection is where, let's go back to the demonstration. This is the point of intersection here where this line is formed, where this cylinder intersects this cylinder. The slanted cylinder intersects the vertical cylinder and creates what we call an intersecting line. So we need to create this line first, and then once we've created this line, we can then solve the problem. So how are we going to do that? Well, we need to project lines from our circle that we have divided, but we're only going to be projecting, let's say, but we have 2 lines already projected, 1, 2, so we need to project lines from here, from this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the center line is already projected. So we're going to be projecting about 4 lines. So I'm just going to come over to my construction layer and project these lines upward. And once I place one line in, I don't really redraw these lines, I just copy these lines over to where they need to be. And some people would even say don't even need to use these lines here at the back because our intersection is going to come. This is the furthest point in our intersection path. It's not going to go past here. So really and truly, I only needed to project, I only need 1, 2, 3, 4 lines to actually solve this little puzzle right here. So let's go ahead and start solving this POI for point, and let's put in points as to where I'm going to be drawing my spleen. So the first thing is, this is the edge, where the edge meets the edge, so we can just put in these 2 edge points. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is we can come in slowly. So once we have the edge, we then go in, and we are going to go in 1 step. Right there, 1 step, 1 step. Then we're going to go in again, 1 step, 1 step. And then we go all the way to the center. So that is the formula for creating our intersecting path. Now I am going to go over to my outline layer and create the spleen, SPL, spleen, and I'm just going to put this in now. Some people use spleen at this point, or some people just attach these lines in a straight line manner. It doesn't really matter to me, you know. I'll just take this out and put it in a straight line manner so we all see. So there'll be no curves, no slants, anything, just straight like that. Yeah, so you can do it that way. Let me just transfer these points, these lines here, over to my construction layer. Yeah, so these, and let me just trim for educational purposes so that we know where this line stops. Line stops there. No. Yeah, okay, so then delete the unwanted lines and alright, so we got an idea of where our construction lines are going and how this thing has been created. So now we have actually finally completed the front elevation of our intersecting solids, and now we need to create our development. So how are we going to create this development? Well, I'm going to project lines. First, go in my construction layer from the top of my cylinder across, and then from the base of my cylinder. Just roughly create my starting line by doing that, and we need to find the circumference. We need to find the circumference of this cylinder. And this cylinder, if I can remember, let's look at the measurements again. The diameter is 70 millimeters. So if the diameter is 70 millimeters, just let me go for my calculator. If my diameter is 70 millimeters and we multiply that by pi, which is 3.142, we should get a figure like 219.9, and that there is our circumference. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come here to this line and then just offset that figure that I just discovered, which is 219.9, and voila, that is where this is the distance of my circumference here between these two parallel lines. So what I can do, just clean up this drawing here. Actually no, I'm just going to trim off the lines that go at the top and these ones at the side. Right, so I'm just going to draw everything on the construction layer and then transfer after. So now once I've established these are my boundaries, I can now project lines from these points on my intersecting points here. Project them over to the circumference surface that I'm going to be working with. So let me just copy, because I'm not going to be drawing these lines individually. Just copy from this point to these intersecting points. And it's always best that while you're copying over, you copy everything in the construction layer, but you always place the center point on the center layer, right? Like what I've done there, so that I can always find the center of my drawing. So I can find my center vertically, I can find my center horizontally on all my drawings, and then diagonally. So that's one thing that I always promote. Please always identify your center points. So now that these have been projected out, I can just do a little trim because we don't need them past here. And that's all nice and good. And we need to discover the center of this this rectangle, which starts here and ends here. So in order for me to do that, I'm just going to trim this line and use my top line as my line to discover where my center is for this object. So now that I've trimmed that line, you can see all these rest stem from this drawing here. This is what I'm talking about, but this line is isolated. So I can just find the center by hovering over, by going on to the line command and then just hovering over where I think the center is, and it would, a triangular icon would appear and it would state midpoint. This is where my center is. Of course, you need to have your object snap turned on, and then when you turn on your object snap, you need to have midpoint ticked. If you do not have midpoint ticked, you will not be able to find the midpoint, and you find your object snap down here, or you can just press F3 to turn it on and turn it off, right? F3. But you can find it down here at the bottom right hand corner with these other sets of menus. Alright, so let's just get that going. So there is my center line, and now I need to grab my distance that I'm going to be using to create my intervals. Now let's look back here. They're telling us now that the distance between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, the equal distance, is actually taken from your circle, and is going to be taken from the circle that you divide into 12. So you need to get the distance of one of your intervals on the circle and then offset that distance along the circumference here. So that should be fairly easy because we have our information here. So what I'm going to do is just DI, which is my measuring tape, short for distance, and I'm going to click here, click there, and my distance is 18. It tells me that on average my distance between my points on my circle is 18. So I'm going to come here to my center line. I'm going to place this over. I'm going to keep it in my construction line layer for now, and then just offset 18 from there. So how much times do I need to offset? Let's look at that. So if the center for this is 4 right here, which is the center, I need to offset 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. 3 in each direction. So 3 to the left, 1, 2, 3, and then 3 to the, no, that was 3 to the right, now 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3. And we're all using a distance of 18 millimeters. So at this point, now that I've offsetted everything, I'm just going to again place my center line in so that I know without a shadow of a doubt where I am. I always need to know where I am on my drawing so I can identify my center. I can actually solve this problem easier. So here's the center. So I'm going to now place in these points now as we try to connect this. So we know our first point is going to go right here at our center. So I can just place a point, top center, and our end point again is going to connect at our bottom center. And then we basically move out similarly to what we have done. So the next point is here and here. Then we move out again here and here. Then we move out. What then do we do when we get to this point? Aha. Then we go here, here. Then we go up. Yeah, so that's our shape, and that's the cut. That represents the cut in our circumference, and not in our circumference, just the cut, which we need to allocate to insert our diagonal cylinder. So this is the hole in the material. Now all of this will be rolled all the way to form the cylinder of diameter 60 millimeters, and once it is rolled, then this hole here will turn. You won't see this hole like this shape. When it is folded, you will see the shape looking like this line here is what the shape will look like once it's rolled and it's turned into its elevation. But once we unfold it, this is what the shape will look like. So these two are extremely similar. So this drawing, which is our front elevation, influences the development. So now that we have done this development, I'm going to transfer these construction lines into my outline. Just placing these back on construction lines just for the educational purposes. Now I'm going to turn off my construction layer. Let's have a look at it. Now that is it there. Just making a change here, guys. Cool. So everything looks good, everything goes through the center line, and we can, you know, just see the clarity of this drawing at the moment. So I'm going to go on to my dimension layer. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to hatch this so that we all get an understanding of where the solids are, the solid, and where the opening is on this shape. I'm going to transfer this hatch to something called J-Wood, which I really enjoy working with, this J-Wood hatch pattern. I'm going to put it at like 5 for argument's sake. So this is our shape here, and this is our development. So then this brings us to not the end, but to like the first half of what we are working on, and we can now go on to the second development. So development A is finished. Alright guys, we are going to create the second surface development. What I've done is I've labeled all of our drawings so far so that we can see what is done. We have done the front elevation, the plan view, and the surface development 1. Now we are going to start creating our second surface development. So in order for us to do that, one, we need to know what is the circumference of this circle, which is our sloping circle. Our sloping circle's diameter is 60, and the formula for actually finding circumference is diameter, or some people say pi times d, which is diameter multiplied by 3.142, which gives us 88.5. So I'm going to use this line here because we want the angle properties from off this line. I'm just going to project it to somewhere around here. Yeah, this is a, let's take off our ortho. So yeah, that's a good point to project that line, and then I'm going to offset now 188.5, which is our circumference. So that's something like where our circumference would be, and I'm going to copy this line because this line is perpendicular to the line which I just copied. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually extend this line. Just to do that, and then just extend this line. Good. And then just fill it, this line to the bottom line. There it is. I'm trying to create my box first. Then I can now copy. Now I have lines that I can copy. I can copy this line wherever I want to go. So the points that we're going to be using for this development are going to be the same points that we used for the first development. Instead of sending them to the right, we are going to be sending them down diagonally. So this is point 1, point 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. These are 7 points, and you can see them there, and I'm going to transfer these to my construction layer. Yeah, that's it. Now let me just fill it. Just trim off what we don't want. Yeah, that's looking nice and neat now. These back on the construction there. Put that on the construction layer also. Good. Let me just trim this up here because we don't need that. No. Now what we can do, this one needs to go on the construction layer. And what we can do is we need to divide our circumference into 12, similarly to what we did to our circle. So the command for divide is div. Select the object you want to divide and then punch in the numbers you want. And 12 is what I'm looking for. Now that I've done that, I'm going to copy this line 12 times down at each point on my divided surface. Now I've done that, I'm going to transfer each one of these lines over to my construction layer. Good. And now let's start to plot this thing. So to plot, we start with this line here, and let's deal with these first 4 lines. And these 1, 2, 3, 4 are actually, I'm going to put them over into my dimension layer, because these first 4 lines, deal with these first 4 lines, and these first 4 lines are actually going to be highlighted on my dimension layer. And these first 4 lines are the lines that I'm going to be using to actually create the first part of the curve. So I just don't want to confuse them with the other lines. So I'm just going to highlight this. This is 1 to 4. Put that over into my dimension layer, and let me just start. So I'm going to start here, and then we're going to come in like 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Well, this is an array of points, so I don't need to highlight that point. What I'm going to do is just remove these 2 points here so that I will know these are points. And I'm going to remove some of these points down here that I used as markers to tell me where I needed to divide, or where I needed to place my divisions. So these are the first 4 points, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to transfer this back to my yellow line, which is my construction line, and then for the second set of points that go up, I'm going to highlight them and place them into that green layer. Alright, so those 1, 2, 3, now we place over into the green layer. And you'll see why I'm doing this. Right, this one is no longer needed in the green layer, that's needed in construction layer now. And POINT for point, and let's go. So we move from here up 1, 2, 3, then we come back down 4, 5, 6. Right. Now I'm going to highlight these, put them back into my construction layer, and it's time to go up. But you see now everything is in the construction layer. We don't know how to get ourselves back up to the top. So that's why we actually distinguish these layers at times, so that we would know how to get ourselves back up to the top. So these are the 3 layers that we started off with, that were placed originally into the green layer, which is our dimension layer. I'm going to use those again, and I'm going to move from this point here, which is the base, right back up to the top, going through these green lines. 1, 2, 3, and that's it there. So now you can transfer everything and put them back over onto the construction layer where they actually belong. Now I'm going to go over to my outline layer, and this is where I'm going to create my spline line. And to get that, we type SPLI, and it should come up, the spline command. And let's start here, and we go over to each point and just click them in. I use the palm to get me around the screen easier, so rather than zooming in and zooming out. And to access the palm tool, which is the hand here, the black hand, just press the middle button, hold it, and then move your screen. Some people find that easier to work with than zooming in and zooming out all the time. just adjusting this now. I no longer need that line down there, so I'm going to bring that line to the edge there. Similarly to this one, this line needs to be here. Right. So everything that's on construction is supposed to be on construction, and everything that's on outline is supposed to be on outline, right? So you can actually just do that, and then create a construction line from this point here all the way up to here. I'm actually just going to go to there, and then the connecting line from here is going to be on our outline. So this is a final line. This is the outline of the shape. Yeah, so that's it. So let's take off the construction layer and have a look at this and see how it looks. And this is our surface development 2, and I'm going to copy the label, CO for copy. Just going to grab the label, and I'm going to put my label here and change it from surface development 1 to surface development 2. I double click on the title, and that's how you're able to change the title. Now I'm going to go over to my dimension layer and hatch this. Hatch, and that's it. So we can see our surface development 1 and our surface development 2 right there in front of us without the construction lines. And then I'm going to turn on the construction layer, and let's have a look at it one more time before I end the video. So what we have done today, we have taken two penetrating solids, and we have created the plan, the front elevation, and 2 surface developments. So this is the topic for today, is developments of intersecting pipes. I hope you guys learned something new, and if you did, you can hit the like and subscribe button, and you can share this video with others out there that might be having difficulty understanding the surface development topic. Alright, until next time guys, take care.